Now is the time to be honest with that. Hi everybody and welcome to today's video. My name is Matt and this is What Matters to Matt. And yes, on today's video, I want to talk to you about what do we do after that big race. That goal race is coming on, whether it be a 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon, or even an ultra. What do we do moving forward? Now, full disclosure, some of you have been looking for me to do a little bit of a race recap on a marathon that I had been training for. Well, I actually didn't get to that marathon. It was just meant to be this past weekend, probably 2 weekends by the time I actually get this edited and out to you. But I didn't get over to PEI, to the island here in the east coast of Canada to run that race. A couple of things came up. I'm not injured, just logistically I couldn't make it over to the island. But silver lining, a couple of weeks before that, 3 weeks before that goal race, I ran a half marathon tune-up race and crushed my PR by a little bit over 10 minutes over my previous PR. And I ran that just comfortably hard. And on that same day, my daughter, she ran a 5K that she'd been training really hard for, and she absolutely crushed her PR. So the season still went really well. I kind of achieved in terms of my fitness and the level I wanted to get to. I achieved that. Now, I didn't achieve my goals in the marathon because you have to run those things to actually achieve those goals, but it was still a solid season. So I'm still happy with how things went. Wish I would have gotten to the marathon, but ultimately the 2 weeks after I found out that I wasn't going to be running that marathon, things kind of went downhill for me. I didn't really pay much attention to my fitness, whether that be my nutrition or my running or the time I spend in the gym. Everything kind of went south and I let myself go a little bit. And I found out for myself, I really do need that structure. I think I've mentioned that in other videos before. Maybe not something specific, but at least have something to focus on, something moving forward. So that's going to be some of the theme to this, but ultimately, let's start off with talking about what we do immediately after that big race. Now, for some of you out there immediately after that big race, you might need that time off. You might need to reset yourself completely. You might need to go a couple of weeks or maybe even longer before you actually lace up those running shoes and get out there again. All of this information I'm giving to you today has to come down to you just doing whatever's best for you. But you might also be somebody that needs to lace up those shoes and actually get out there with no time goals, no distance, no pace, no specific workouts in mind, just getting out there and actually going for a run. That's perfectly fine too. But you might also be somebody that needs a little bit more structure. And for me, I know maybe I'll try to find some links on some other distances as well, but I'll put a couple of links in the description down below of just different plans that you can actually kind of just plug into a calendar post marathon that gives you a lot of structure in terms of how to get the wheels turning again and how to get back running and back up to where you want to be. But ultimately, it's all about do whatever you need to do in that first 2 weeks to reset yourself and be able to move forward positively so that you're ready for whatever comes next. All right, so after that, it's really important to actually take a close look on how the last 365 days went, or at least the last training block. And this is the time to be honest with yourself. And the reason why I mention this in this video is because this is something that generally I don't do that well. Oftentimes, I'm just always looking forward. What's next? What's next? What's next? But if you really take some time to evaluate how this past season went, were you dealing with niggles all the way through the last training block that kind of ultimately affected your ability to reach your goals? Did you ramp up your mileage too quickly or your intensity too quickly? Did you ultimately hit your goals exactly how you wanted to hit them? Or maybe you hit your goals and you feel like you could have done even better. All of this information is really going to inform what you need to be doing moving forward. So it's really important that you take the time to look back over that last training block or over that last 365 days and figure out exactly how things went. Now is the time to be honest with that. So once you figured all that out, it is time to start looking forward. But for me, I don't look over the next couple of months. I actually look into the next race season. Again, like I said, I like to have some goals set out there, some long distance goals. And for me, I have a race circled on the calendar for May of next year. I like to have an 18-week training block. So I'll go back 18 weeks from that date. Now that you have that sort of goal race or next year, at least started initially what you plan on doing, and you know how much time you have before you need to start down the road of that big training block, you can start thinking about what do you need to do to get to where you want to be at the beginning of that training block. For me, that is that I like to spend time in the gym. I like to work on my strength, and I think that really helps me in my ability to stay relatively injury-free throughout the running. And now is the time for me to do that before mileage really ramps up during that training cycle. So I'm looking ahead to doing a Nick Bare Hybrid Athlete 3.0 program, and I'll be putting a video together just on how the first week went because we're at the end of the first week of that program. gym. So I'm really excited about that, getting to spend some time lifting in the gym. But for others, you might be looking at building up that base mileage. Like I said, you have to look ahead to exactly what you think you need to be doing to get to ultimately the start of that big push towards that next goal race. And I know those are just a couple of things, and I didn't want to make a really long video. I just wanted to get these thoughts out there. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the theme of this video is do whatever you need to do to reach your next goals. My name is Matt, and this is What Matters to Matt, and ultimately, what matters to me most is my family. I'll see you in the next one.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.